Good morning. I know I have left you guys hanging and waiting for the resolution of what happened with Mr. X. So I am going to give a Reader's Digest version today because I am traveling. I am in Dallas, but I will be back to Philly shortly. But I wanted to kind of bring you guys up to the end of the story, to bring you at least up to where we will be with the final chapter, which will be the next chapter. So Elaine, at this point, my daughter is getting help that she needed. I have no job for the first time in my life. I feel like a complete failure. All in a very short period of time, my whole world is upside down. My house is the sale of my house is just in total disarray. I'm at odds with my ex-husband because everything that was supposed to happen didn't happen. So his life was put on hold. Um, my older daughter is also feeling like she has to please everybody because everybody's under so much stress right now that it's affecting her because she's trying not to rock anybody's apple cart. It was just a very wearing, very exhausting time in my life. So I when I was done laying in bed and done blaming myself for everything in the world you could possibly think of, done feeling like a bad mom and a failure, I got angry. I picked myself up and I got angry and I said, no, I need to fix this. You just you cannot understand or comprehend the amount of rage that goes through someone, which is why I needed to get through this and put this behind me with these videos, because it's not even the sadness or the regret of those feelings. It's the rage that comes up from the bottom of your feet, and you just have those days where you just cannot believe that your life has changed so quickly and so much because somebody just felt like doing that to you and just thought it was going to be okay. And so that's really what I needed to get rid of, is that rage, because um, it's it's horrible. It's consuming. It will consume you. So here I am at this point. I just got up. I just got out of bed. I decided, people are my family, my friends are like, this isn't like you. How are you going to let him get away with that? Why aren't you on the phone with an attorney? And the truth of the matter is because it's embarrassing. So not only did I call an attorney, but then I had to go through this whole humiliating story again to someone else. And I had to provide my documentation, which, as you can tell from these stories, I keep very good records of everything, always, especially in business. I do everything in writing. So not only do I have a strong case, an excellent case, I hire an excellent attorney, and I have excellent proof. So I have my emails, my voicemails, which I've saved, the ones that I needed to save, and text messages. All the text messages, the creepy text messages wanting to brush my hair and do other things. All the harassing messages that said I'm uncomfortable with this. So I had excellent documentation. But I had no money. I was out of my resource. I used my resources, whatever I had left, to send my daughter get help that she needed, which was way more important. Plus, I have no job, so there's always the life bills, mortgage, those kinds of things, insurances. So I depleted everything. So I told the attorney, I don't. So he agreed because I had a strong case. Otherwise, I don't think he would have done it. He agreed to work on a contingent, which means that he gets a percentage of whatever we settle for. Um, he is an excellent attorney, and like I said, he's well known. So it's not something he would usually do. So we negotiated an amount of 40%. So I'm going to sue Mr. X because it's not okay. It's really not okay to turn somebody's life upside down for some childish high school fantasy and get away with it and just walk away and be like, oh, well, and leave somebody else in the aftermath of that. So that was the deal. We were going to sue Mr. X. We were going to sue him for breach of contract, for fraud, for sexual harassment, for distress. So my attorney reaches out to Mr. X's attorney, because he remember at Cassidy's when I confronted him, he hired that law firm who drew up all these new, crazy contracts, thinking I was going to sign off on them, and I didn't. So my attorney then reached out to his attorney, because that was the first step. Let's make contact. So he does so with our intentions, with specifics, which again is humiliating, with proof, with quotes, exactly why we plan on suing him for these things. So Mr. X, I'm sure, hears from his attorney, and his attorney responds back to my attorney. Infuriating, to say the least, because what was put in, I guess it's just an attorney negotiation. He came back and countered our statements, saying that it was a mutual a relationship that we were in. So right away, I'm furious. I immediately call my attorney. He's like, I was waiting for the phone to ring. So I said, yeah. I said, no. So what do we do? So he says, well, we go back with more of our proof that we have, showing that you were uncomfortable, that you asked him not to talk to you unless it had to do with business, not to text you anymore. Okay, good. So there were conversations about the house and how he held the funding of the house over my head. You just want me to fund the house. If you want me to fund the house so bad that you're just saying these things. Everything was in writing. Everything indicating that this was all business for me. And Mr. X was crossing lines that he shouldn't have crossed. So now we draw up. We finally get to a negotiated place where we take the house out of the equation, because it's a New York attorney, but my house is still in North Carolina, and it's real estate litigation. So the way the attorney explained it to me is I would really need two attorneys. One for the breach of contract on the house, who did real estate litigation in North Carolina, and him, he's a New York City attorney who practices law, corporate law. So we decided to keep the house out of it. Honestly, I didn't know how long this process was going to take, and I certainly did not want to hold up the sale of my house any more than I had to. So I was like, okay, great, that's fine. Let's just take the house out of it. Let's figure out a way for him to be released from the contract or the closing of the house so that I can move forward with that. My attorney agreed. He drew up an agreement. And of course, we started to figure, I think it was up $150,000. And then we went back and forth a few times, and Mr. X agreed to settle out of court. He didn't want to get sued. He didn't want to have to go to court. He didn't want the blemish on his business and on his record. So, plus everything would be exposed. Everything. All of the text messages, all of the unwanted comments and requests, that would have all been exposed on him, and me asking him to stop. So we reached an agreement. Here's the agreement. I don't have a highlighter with me here in Dallas, but I did circle some of the points that I wanted you to know. For example, we came down to employee shall receive payment in the gross amount of $80,000. Severance pay. The severance pay shall be paid in escrow by the company to counsel for company prior to employee signing the agreement. So there it is. Mr. X is willing to pay me $80,000 to go away and to keep my mouth shut. And in exchange, I agree to be solely responsible for and legally bound. Wait, no, that's the wrong place, to pay taxes. Well, of course, nobody's going to do that, right? Here it is. Here's the important part to Mr. X. Employee knowingly and involuntarily releases and forever discharges Company A and their affiliates, predecessors, insurers, successors, assigners, heirs, and estates, and their current and former partners, employee, attorneys, officers, directors, and agents thereof, both individually and in their business capacities, and their employee benefit plans and programs, and their administrators and fiduciaries, of and from any and all claims known and unknown, asserted or unasserted, which employee has or may have against the release of the date of execution of this agreement, including but not limited to any claims, whether statutory, common law, or otherwise, arising out of terms or conditions of her employment at Company A, any claims otherwise arising out of terms, whether statutory, common law, or otherwise arising out of facts and circumstances of her employment with the termination of her employment at Company A, any claims for breach of contract, quantum, unjust enrichment, breach of oral promise, torturous interference, business relations, injurious falsehood, fraud, defamation, negligence, or intentional infliction of emotional stress, invasion of privacy, and any other common law contract and tort claims. So basically, it says, we're going to pay you some money. You're going to go away quietly. And we're going to pretend that nothing happened. We are going to shake it like an Etch-a-Sketch, and it's going to be erased. And you can't say anything to anybody. And we're going to pay you this money, and you're going to go away. Okay? And pretty much for anything under the sun. Doesn't matter what he did or in what way he did it. It doesn't matter if he meant to do it, didn't mean to do it. But you got to be quiet because we're going to pay you to go away. That's pretty much what this contract says. And employee covenants and agrees that in exchange for receipt of confidential and proprietary information over the course of her employment, this is actually kind of comical, with Company A, and in exchange for the consideration set forth in paragraph 1 herein, she will keep secret and forever retain in strictest confidences all confidential matters of Company A and Company A's clients, including client identities, client lists, details of clients, subcontractor or consulting contracts, employee lists, fee schedules, pricing and or billing policies, operational methods, marketing plans or strategies, business acquisition plans, new personal acquisition plans, and processes learned by employee hereto or hereafter until such information is generally available to the public without restriction or employee is under compulsion of a court order. Here's why I read that to you. There was no company. There was no business. There was no employees. There was no client list. There were no clients. There were no contractors. There was nothing that I learned. There was no confidential information. It was bullshit, all of it. So now I'm actually laughing to myself at this point because I realize that this poor attorney is just one more person sucked into this whole facade. So he not only has retained this attorney, isn't paying this attorney, and I know because, let's just say I know, he hasn't paid them and he's still getting invoices, but they're still convinced they're going to get paid, like everybody else in this story. And she really believes that he is what he and who he says he is, and that they're going to get paid, and that he's got all this confidence. I mean, there was no work being done. He was never on a phone call. There was no client list. We didn't have listings for the website. So I couldn't even finish a website because I had no real estate listings. I had an office full of agents, but no real estate listings, and nobody going out to get any. There was no book. There was nothing. So that's why that paragraph is particularly heartwarming, because it's funny as hell. Yeah, I'll keep quiet about all of your client lists. No problem. I'll make like they don't even exist, because they don't. So we come to this agreement. It takes a little bit, but we do come to this agreement. His attorneys, like I said, he's got better attorneys now. They do understand that he is liable. They knew it from when they read his original contract, that he's got liability on him, that if I sue him, I will win. And I'm sure they're advising him to settle and advising him accordingly. So he agrees to settle for $80,000 out of court. So, a week goes by, and I email my attorney. What's going on? Have we heard anything? No, I'll try and get in touch with his attorney. His attorney emails back my attorney, and he sends it to me. That X, Mr. X is in poor health, and she hasn't been able to get in touch with him. So now we wait. She said she would be in touch by the following week, where Mr. X was supposed to get in touch with her when he felt better. Okay. So I'm going to leave you there. And where Mr. X is not feeling well, cannot execute the rest of this agreement until he's feeling better and he's more up to par. So I am waiting for another week to put this behind me, gathering up all my information, and getting ready to get rid of all of this and just put it behind me and get back on track. And I'm getting ready to call my employer, my old employer, the one who said I could, have my job back. If it doesn't work out, you just come back. Yeah, I'm getting ready to do that. So I'm going to leave you there because I have to run out and catch a cab. But I will be back in Philly, and I will finish this by the end of the week because it really is at its end now. So I will wrap it up for you shortly. Thank you guys. Have a great day.